I had a 22-5 record in High Infinite with an Electra deck. That's it. That's the whole intro. This is a list that I've been tooling around with for a while. I actually originally put it together after I finished reading Frank Miller's Daredevil, which introduced Elektra. I've still been reading a lot of Daredevil. I just finished the Bendis run, and then the run that came after that, which is Brubaker, I believe. So I'm still really into the character of Elektra, and I really felt like this was actually a real deck when I played it. I included it in my 3 underrated decks video, and now it's getting its own little special highlight because I had an 80% win rate with a deck playing a card everyone thinks is terrible. And I think this is a good lesson in sort of the replaceability of cards, because it's a lot easier to replace cards at the bottom of the curve that aren't essential to a deck's functioning than it is to replace core cards. When you look at a deck like this, the core cards are things like Gwenpool, Mysterio, and of course Sasquatch. Those are key. They are not replaceable, but a lot of the stuff at the bottom of the curve very much is, and you can see that it is possible to have wild success in the toughest environments in the game with cards like Elektra, as long as you have a coherent idea of what you're doing. And I think that the larger point here is that understanding what cards are and are not core to an individual list and the functioning of that list is going to help you make budget replacements, which is going to be something that I think you're going to have to develop the skill set for, especially if Marvel Snap continues down the road it seems to be on right now. So, with all of that in mind, I want to talk you through this deck, which I do think is legitimately good and legitimately underrated, and then sort of go card by card the way we typically do. This is a deck that is a sort of Sarah-less Sarah deck, and a lot of mid-range decks run the gamut. They are either, fully devoted to their points engine with some amount of tech, or more heavily devoted to the tech and trying to get as many points as they possibly can for as little investment as they possibly can. This is the second kind of those. This is a deck that is heavy on the tech. There is a Mobius, there is a Red Guardian, there is a Shang-Chi, there is an Enchantress. All of those are going to be relevant a lot of the time. Shang-Chi especially, as there are still a lot of people playing Nightmare decks which are full of big guys, is going to be an important piece. This is, generally speaking, a deck that relies on those to take you over the top, and then on Gwenpool, Mysterio, and Sasquatch for most of your points. The rest of the deck is made up of enablers. Zabu makes your things cheaper, Surge makes your things cheaper, Merlin turns your bad stuff into good stuff, and generally allows you location control. And the rest of the deck sort of operates oriented around that. So, with all of that in mind, let's get into the card-by-card breakdown of genuinely the best control deck I've played this season by win rate. So I realize that Elektra is in the name of this video, in the title of this video, on the cover of this video. I haven't done any of all that stuff yet, but I can't imagine I wouldn't do that. And you're probably wondering, what the hell is she actually doing? Well, there's a couple of things that she's actually doing, but the real answer is it's pretty easy for a 1-drop to just be a 1-drop in this situation, and there are a shockingly large amount of reasonable targets for this card. And a lot of that is down to the fact that even if you hit something like a Quicksilver, that's a 1-4. And that's just pretty actually decent, right? You're hitting any 1-drop, basically, and this is pretty good. And then the upside of it is very, very high. You hit a Hydra Bob, you hit a Demon, things like that are actually insane. I hit a Human Torch that was absolutely game-winning. And I think that when it comes to 1-drops, there is something to the idea of just, playing one of them that can actually win you the game sometimes. The downside on this card is not that low. It's a 1-2. The upside on this card is actually pretty high, and that's a rare dynamic from a 1-drop. A lot of 1-drops are very minimalistic in terms of their effects. And so I like the idea that, especially as people are playing plenty of demons. They're playing various 1-drops in their nightmare decks. All of those have like 3 1-drops in them. There's like Sauron, there's Ebony Maw, and there's usually another one. And then there's also like the other things people are doing. They're doing Black Knight Nightmare. They're doing Thanos decks in their Arishem things. There's just targets for this card. And I'm not saying that makes her like an amazing, the goated greatest choice of all time, but it's a lot less of a commitment to run an Electra than it is a Killmonger. And I think that matters. This is what I mean when I talk about like 1-drops, and like there's a reason why the sort of dominant 1-drops for such a long period of time have been Zabu and the Hood. And it's because those are the ones that have the ability to like genuinely change the texture of games. Zabu letting you get a 3-drop or a 3-cost 4-drop changes the texture of games. Multiple 3-cost 4-drops means that you can play 2 4-drops on the final turn of the game. That matters a ton. It can be game winning. The Hood, for example, I mean, like, it's making a guy with 6 power, and then maybe there's some more upside in that for you. There's a reason why these cards are the most popular 1-drops, and I think it speaks to what I was talking about with Elektra, where it's like, she's not as good as them, but she requires way less from you in the way of synergy than the Hood does. Surge is an excellent card in this list, which values both the discount and the extra power very highly. The extra power is going to be way more useful than you think. When we talk about this as a Sarah-less Sarah deck, a lot of what allows it to be that is, of course, the combination of Zabu and Surge. But adding 1 extra power to a bunch of your stuff is just very good if you are getting it for free. Don't get me wrong, the primary role of Surge in this deck is the discount, but the additional power, working with stuff like, of course, Mysterio, working with your tech cards, making them a little bigger, making them a little more unpredictable, is just very valuable. This is one of many Zabu Surge tech card decks, and it definitely falls under that umbrella. Merlin provides location control and upgrades for your units that aren't necessarily doing a lot. If you are forced to play out an early Mysterio for various reasons, Merlin turning those guys into 3s is really good. Merlin shuffling them back into your deck for extra energy is really good because they just don't do anything other than the real one. That can also happen later in the game, depending on how you play it. But what this deck manages to do is use all the parts of the Buffalo with Merlin. He's great for location control that you otherwise don't have, and your Mysterios and small bodies that have effects on reveal are great with Polymorph as well. So you have this multi-use card, this sort of Swiss Army knife, and you're using all of the different tools that he provides you depending on the situation. Mysterio is like the glue guy of this deck. It is maybe not the splashiest part of what this deck is doing, but it is the thing this deck does not work without. Mysterio is doing 2 things. One is carrying Surge and Gwenpool buffs powerfully. 2 Gwenpool buffs onto this guy, and he is playing for 16 power. It is very, very strong. If you get a Surge buff onto him, he is playing for a modest 7 power. And he's discounting all of your points on a Sasquatch. All of them. Like the Sasquatch will cost 2 after you play any turn with Mysterio, basically. Mysterio plus a 3, really phenomenal. You just are into that. You are happy as your turn 5 if that happens. If you manage to turn 4 a Gwenpool into that, you're even happier. Mobius is just a genuinely pretty okay card. You can do whatever you want as far as tech here, like customize this slot to your metagame, but I have found that Mobius is just good enough that I am happy with it. I don't really feel like there's a lot of great 3s right now. Gladiator's not amazing into the Nightmare stuff. There's a lot of big guys running around. Copycat isn't amazing into the Nightmare stuff. There's a lot of bad text running around. And so we're in a metagame where I'm not too sure exactly what these slots should be. So that means I'm defaulting to the tech that I know is good. Mobius is really good. Red Guardian, another just absolute default tech card. It'll let you interact with a ton of different stuff. Between Red Guardian and Enchantress, you genuinely have so much game into anything using ongoing, and I really do enjoy how this deck manages to have so much tech that it can punish almost every overextension. And I think that's a really cool way to play this game, although I realize a lot of people disagree. I think Red Guardian stocks are not necessarily at an all-time high, but at a relative high, in large part because a lot of his competition is really good 3-drops are kind of awkward into what the metagame is developing into. When your opponent is playing stuff like Sentry, Annihilus, Eliath, you're not really feeling confident about your gladiators. You're feeling even less confident if they're playing things like Nightmare, because that means you're just pulling something huge and you feel really stupid for playing it. Copycat's the same way. Sometimes there's some good things in her, but right now there's a lot of decks that are looking to mitigate the text on their cards rather than maximize the text on their cards. So that leaves, of the trinity of elite 3-drops, pretty much just this guy, and he is just sort of phenomenal by comparison. He's just never bad. I tried Gladiator, and he sold a bunch of games, and then I tried Copycat, and she did basically nothing. I don't know what the hell this spot is supposed to be. I want it to be a stats card. I think it probably has to be a 3-drop. I don't think we get to be a Galacta deck, but God, I really wish we did. Whatever the 3-drop equivalent of Galacta is, or maybe like whatever thing you want to tech against. Like if you're worried about RSM Thanos, you put your Cassandra in here and it's just great, right? I really wish I had something concrete for this slot, because it's the only slot in this deck where I'm like, okay, all right, I feel bad about this. I feel worse about this slot than I do about Electra, like all seriousness. Shang-Chi makes the big guys go boom boom. You are not a deck that has a lot of points. It really helps when you can make your opponent having a lot of points into your opponent not having a lot of points. It's pretty crucial. Exact same rationale here, except sometimes you'll just like play her as a 3/7 if you hit her with a surge. Like that's where she excels or exceeds Shang-Chi, where it's just like, this is a card that if you don't really think that they're gonna be playing a lot of ongoing stuff, and sometimes you won't really know, but if you don't really think you're gonna miss her, you can just be like, oh, it's a 3/7, I hit her with a surge, I'm gonna pass the surge buff along, and that's just way better downside than Shang-Chi, who you just like never really want to do that with, because he is so important to keeping your opponents in check in so many different matchups. He's so much more applicable later in the game, and also so much smaller as a card, that you're much happier just like curving her out than you are him. Gwenpool is the other overlap with Mysterio. Like, the thing that makes this deck work is Mysterio, Gwenpool, and Sasquatch. The fact that they all work together. Your nut draws are almost always some combination of those cards late in the game alongside a tech card, right? The whole thing here is you make your Mysterio big, you discount your Sasquatch, you play a 2-power or a 2-cost 10-power guy, and then a Shang-Chi or Enchantress in another lane that just wins that. That's the idea here. That's what you're trying to do. Sasquatch is quite large and gets discounted in a reasonable way in basically every game you draw Mysterio and play Mysterio on turn 5. Mysterio means this is a 3/10, Mysterio plus any other card means this is a 2/10. You're obviously very interested in that 2/10. It's just good. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. As always, remember to like and subscribe. We're going to jump into some gameplay from here, so I really appreciate anyone who continues watching past this as well. I've been KMBest. I've seen people complaining that I haven't been saying you guys are phenomenal, so you have been phenomenal. I have been KMBest, and I will see you in the next one. Enjoy the gameplay. Potentially nerfably strong. How to enter giveaway. The giveaway isn't happening right now. It happens, like, the giveaway is an event that happens during the stream. Shut up. Oh my god. It's fucking morphin time? What do you know? The Hellion was sick as fuck, dog. This was legit sick as fuck. But I was able to fairly reasonably predict that that would take that right lane to 17. So, you know, I could play around that. You can't... They can't win. What I'm saying is you guys are asking for something they cannot deliver. They fucked up. They have to fix it. That's gonna take however long it takes. Like, it's not like they can press a magical button. They have to examine the fucking situation and how they got here first. They have to establish what exactly did we do that was wrong? What do we not want to do that is like this in the future? It's like pretty basic shit. Why can't they just go back in time? And I'm very curious what sync... That's another thing. Like, before they announce anything, they better have a solid fucking plan for Sanctum Showdown next week. They better know what the fuck is going on with that. Cause, dude, if they blow that too... Know what I mean? Red Guardian, come on, man. Boy, we are fucked. Alright, I mean, we got a Shang, right? We just gotta, like... get active. If they blow both, people are gonna be pissed. Correctly! And they definitely should not blow both. That would be really bad if they did. Be super bad if they blew both. Electra value here, holy fuck. We snap, they leave, so, you know, we probably can't. What do you think happens with Sanctum? I don't know. Like, that's sort of the thing. Like, they have to figure out what the fuck they're gonna do about Sanctum, because I got no clue. It can't be good. I'll tell you that much. I feel like what's happening is I'm getting annihilated, just for the record. So this Red Guardian is hurting me, but, like, what else am I gonna play? Then again, it would be like Annihilus plus like a 1/7. I don't think I really give a shit. It's a lot. But yeah, like, that's what I mean, where it's like, they can't just, like, apologize for this and then release the planned Sanctum shop, presumably. Because I would imagine it's built along similar lines as what this is. Is that an actual cannonball? They top deck that? What the fuck? Alright, well, I don't know what your plan was for winning another lane. Yet, as, like, the thing they were doing. I think that's just, like, actively harmful. And thing number two is, I do not think that this was the right way to go about that. The right way to go about that situation was not what happened. And what I mean by that is they probably are able to make things happen in a way that it is still very hard to get the card, but it's not actively fucking you the way this was. Speaking of actively fucking me. Boy, Copycat's a piece of shit. Copycat's a piece of shit! And so is... Gladiator. What the fuck 3-drop is even good into this deck? I genuinely have no idea. Oh, well that's just dope as shit. Dog, this is maybe the funniest play I've ever made. Check out this dumb shit. You ever Shang-Chi a vibranium? You fool! You ever Shang-Chi a vibranium? Oh, fuck. Well, that ain't good. Okay. Jesus Christ, Deathlock. They didn't even worry about the left. We could have won it with like a Killmonger instead, which is weird, I feel like. Well, I don't like that. I don't hate that, though. We're hitting something. Okay. I'm probably dead. Here's my question. Dude, Copycat is blowing me. Like, not the good way. Copycat is fucking me up, dude. She is just never anything good. If I get Prio and turn off that, does that work? I don't have Prio anyway. Does it lose the ability to move, is my question? How does this work? Can it still move? I really want to know. Oh, I mean, that plays, I suppose. Is this the legendary Electra value? They're so fucking dead. Absolutely the fuck not. Electra value. Electra value. Oh, God, that's disgusting. Jesus. Have you ever seen anything worse than this? Actual Electra value. The Electra game, that's what we're calling it. Plus, we know they don't have Vulture either. They're literally on just Dagger for Scalers. Zabu Surge there for Sasquatch. Yeah, I like that a little better. That's fine. Okay, Typhoid Mary, fuck off. Yep. Allowed to aura form me. Look at this smile. Look at this. Look at how many teeth that motherfucker has. Not putting the hood in there. So they're definitely a fucking send shit over to me deck. Oh, man. They're definitely on some send shit over to me timing right now. Or a bounce deck. Can't say I have an understanding of what this is. They discarded a Phoenix Force. That's probably really bad for them. Now I know they're a Phoenix Force deck. I figured it out. Get a guy, Omnipresence that... Polymorph mid? Not a great guy, but, you know. Like a misery over here. Oh, fire her venom. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So they have a demon in hand. And this gains 4. Tiebreaker is what we're on. We're on tiebreak timing. A tiebreak that we win by a very small amount. Nice.